So I look at them in the face. I'm like, I want a lawyer. And at that point, you're supposed to stop talking to me.
That's right.
But you know what they do? They come in and out. The camera might not be
Leaving
on.
her by yourself a little while.
A minute. I'm sitting there for a few hours, shackled there, head down, arm down. Good cop comes in. You know what I'm saying? Chips, soda, no coffee because I'm a kid. You know what I mean? Chips. So he's like, hey man, we can get you some candy. We can get you whatever. Your mom is gonna meet us down at Juvenile. She's gonna be at the gate. We want to release you today. We want to let you go home. Now, we can't let you go home right this second because we got to put an ankle monitor and make sure that you're going to come and cooperate. But we can release you. You don't got to do. You can do one night. You can go home. You can see the judge and go home on release with an ankle monitor. You come testify. Your buddy goes to jail for endangering a child and doing all this crazy stuff, and you're good to go. No. He looks at me like he's puzzled. What do you mean, no? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm crying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a tough guy. I'm breaking down. I'm fearful as hell. I still don't understand the full consequences of what I did yet, though. You know? But I'm crying. I tell them no. I said, I want my mom. And then finally they stop. And they drop me off at Juvenile. They come in the gate. They put me in intake at Juvenile. And that's when it hits me. I had been up for 24 hours now. Over 24 hours. And I'm in that cell. And they shut it and they lock it. And I peek out the little window. And I see the basketball game on. And it's like, I want to go home and watch the basketball game. I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home now. And I can't open the door. And it's a slab bed and multiple armed robberies. I didn't sleep that night. So now the next morning, public defender comes by and he breaks it down real simple. You used a gun, a real gun. It wasn't a BB gun, 22 caliber. That's a real weapon. They're going to certify you. You're going to get transferred to county. They're going to try you as an adult, or you're going to get sentenced as an adult. You're going to go fight this case in the adult. You're going to Clark County jail with the adults. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah. He's like, what you did here, all this violence and all this stuff, you're done. The judge, you're not going to be in the juvenile court system. They can only hold you till you're 19 here. You're doing way more time than 19, man. He's like, you ruined your life, kid. And he packed his stuff up and he walked away. And I was like, whoa. I was like, wait a minute. I looked at the guards. I'm like, hey, I'd never been in jail before. I was like, listen, they're like, man, they don't want to hear it. They forced me back in my cell. And I sit there fighting certification. So because nobody got injured, the judge was allowed to have a certification trial. So before I got tried, pled guilty, or any of that stuff, they had to decide, are we going to try him as a child or as a juvenile, or are we going to try him as an adult? Which court system are we going with? And the DA was on my neck. They were like, he refused to testify. He's uncooperative. He's not remorseful. He's a monster. But he's going to Gene. At that time, Gene prison was for the ages of 16 to 24. After the age of 24, they transfer you over to Indian Springs or High Desert, right? So that's what they were like, we have a great youth program in Gene. He can do his first 8 years in Gene. And then he can finish the rest of his sentence in High Desert, And 6 months, man. Luckily, I got a new public defender. And the new public defender, Jessica Murphy, I ran into her like a couple years ago for the first time since that case happened. And man, that was some emotions. She would hold me. She would come in the cell and in the holding cell before we would go to court. And she would hold me and try to get me together. Because by 6 months in, I had now done 6 months of time at 15, 16 years old. And I realized what was coming. My life was over. 3 to 5 years for every charge. There's over 50 charges in that pamphlet over there. Over 50 charges, 3 to 5 years for each one. No probation, no parole. If I get certified, it's over. I would still be in prison right now. We did the math. If they would have dropped half of it, I would have got out in a couple years maybe. So about 33, 34. I would have done about 15, 16 years. And anyway, she would hold me and get me together and bring me in. That woman fought my case like she was Johnny Cochran. She defended me like she was paid, man. And she kept delaying the hearing, the certification hearing. So I would sit there in my cell every time and be like, man, I can't sit here anymore. I need to know. And she would be like, listen, if we rush this, the little shot you have is over. I got to present a good case. So they dig into my background, and it's all in my paperwork. I had a stepfather that tortured me, man, from the ages of 6 for like a year. came in my life and just did some horrible things to me. Horrible things. My mom got remarried. And he was a convicted felon. And not on no gangster stuff neither, unlike some fake checks. But the system had turned him out. You know what I'm saying? And he got at my mom. So when my mom divorced my father, she came back down to Vegas again, picked him up from prison with us in the car. And he came into our life. Now, to save my mom, she was a guard. My mom was a guard for a little while in Ely State Prison, which is the only prison in Nevada that has a death sentence. And so that's where they met, you know. And so my mom left my dad. My dad did whatever. We came back here, brought him home. And I'm bringing this up because in court, my public defender was able to say, listen, he was beaten to the point where he had to be put in a hospital. He was choked. He was given drugs. All these horrible things happened. My little sister almost got killed in front of me. My stepfather had my little sister with my mother, his own daughter, picked her up over his head and dropped her on her face in the driveway. I can't even hold my kids to this day without feeling weird, you know? And so she was able to show these things to the judge. And the judge, at the end of the day, finally the hearing comes. And the last thing I'll say, I'll try to keep it all on pace. I sat in that cell the night before my hearing, and I knew for sure it was going to be the hearing this time. They weren't prolonging it anymore. They brought up all the bad stuff. And I opened the Bible, man, and I'm not religious like that. I believe there's something powerful somewhere, but I don't read the Bible. I don't go to church like that. You know what I'm saying? I got on my hands and knees. I said, God, I can't. My heart's going to explode. Tell me what's about to happen. Crack the Bible open, and it's something in Matthew. It says you're going to be placed in front of kings and judges, but don't fear. And I don't know, that talks about something totally different. It has nothing to do with kids robbing stores and going in front of a criminal judge. But that little, out of all the things in the Bible that I could have read, you're going to be put in front of a judge? And don't worry, don't fear. I was able to get some sleep. Walked in that courtroom, and my mom's shaking. Everybody's shaking. I'm shaking. And the judge goes, sometimes in cases like this, I have no choice, and things have to happen. And I hear my mom, like, you know what I mean? She just, she can't hold it in. She collapses. And he looks up, and you can tell the judge is about to cry. And he's like, but in this case, and that's when my heart came back. But in this case, he's never been arrested. We've never had a chance to rehabilitate the kid. We what are we gonna do? We're not gonna give him a chance to be, what are we here for? If we don't put him through a program, try to fix him. Nobody died, nobody got shot, thank God. By the grace of God somehow, everybody came out unscathed. Let's try to rehabilitate the kid. And that's what they ended up doing, man. I ended up getting 2 years sent up to northern Nevada, a place called Rite of Passage. And the crazy part was the DA appealed it. They were ready to take it up to the next circuit. They were so upset. They wanted me in prison so bad. While the other half, cut a deal. And I'm not going to speak too much on that because I don't speak for that man. But, he did what he did and I did what I did. And somehow we ended up not getting certified. And what that meant is that now I'm not going to do 30. The most they can hold me to until I'm 19. So now the most I could do is 3 years. Got my life back just like that. The DA appeals. That was messed up because I felt like I got my life back. And then I wake up the next day and they pull me into the interview room in the juvenile hall. And my public defender's like, they're appealing. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, well, they could take it above us, above that judge, and they can certify you and you could still go to prison. So I'm like, oh my God. But that disappears real quick. The DA drops that. You know what I'm saying? And basically the judge was facing a bunch of blowback. How can you release somebody that does all that? He's gonna kill somebody. If he kills somebody, it's on you. You know what I mean? Like, it's on you. And they sent me up to Northern Nevada. One of the things that saved me, before we get to the lockup part, one of the things that saved me was my probation officer. When you get arrested as a juvenile, even though I'm not on probation technically, you get assigned a probation officer. So while I was incarcerated, I had a probation officer. Her name was Sarah Abel. Now, this probation officer comes from Minnesota, and she used to be the probation officer for the guy that I got arrested with.
Damn. How did that happen?
No idea. I have no idea.
Wow, so she knew him.
Explain it. She knew him. She was his probation. She knew what he was. That's how I found out that he had been gangbanging for real for years since he was younger than I was at the time.
So he was an institution baby.
Listen, man, that guy's as real as they come, and I'm not giving him kudos for it, but he was real deal, man. Real gangster disciple, a real guy, you know what I'm saying? And from the young, he was born into it. I walked into it, right, at a young age. He was born into it. We talked about this before we turned it on, you know? And so she told the judge, she said, listen, and I've never heard somebody talk to a judge like this. I was so-and-so's probation officer in Minnesota, and he's as wild as they come. And it doesn't surprise me. We knew where he was going to be.
Wow.
And it doesn't shock me that this little white boy was with him and ended up getting drug into something. And I had never heard of somebody using anything racial or, you know, the fact, but she did it for the right reason. But like, it blew me away that she even said that. But she was that kind of probation officer, you know, and the fact that she was his probation officer is just, you got a better chance of going down to Vegas in one of those hotels and winning $1 million. You know what I mean? Than you do getting the same probation officer as your co-defendant that you never, you know, it's just a wild situation. But so anyway, that was another big factor, was usually the probation officer is in court. You got the DA, probation, and your defense. Usually the probation officer is with the DA. They want to be harsh.
Yeah.
Right? The probation officers are dickheads. You know what I'm saying? So she was the opposite. She was like, no, this is weird. That guy caused this. You know what I'm saying? This dude would not be doing what he was doing if he didn't bump into him. So anyway, so that happens, and I get sent up Northern Nevada, and I'm smiling the whole drive for the first time in my life, about 2 months after that. So I did like 7 months in juvenile, you know, and that's tough because there's no commissary. You don't get to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying county is better because it's way more dangerous, but like, imagine being in the county with no commissary on top of it, you know, which some people do because they don't have a bunch of money, but like nothing, like it was very boring. But when they came and got me, basically the lockup situation, they come pick you up in a truck for this program. Now this program is for people from all over kids from all over the country. So for the first time, I'm going to be incarcerated with Northern California, Southern California, Minnesota, Chicago, New York, everywhere, right? So it's not like just Vegas kids.
What's the program called?
Rite of Passage.
Okay.
It's for all girls now because they rioted and set it on fire a couple years ago. They lost control of it. So they shut it down and turned it into an all-girls facility. But at this time, there were no cameras, and it looked like on video when they showed it to you, it was going to be a great time, like Disneyland. You get there, man.
I heard some horror stories about that place.
Bro, it was so bad. I was still more thankful for that than prison. But first day I get there, they shave your head. And the staff are extremely mean and like take control immediately.
Now, isn't that the place they also kidnap kids? Like parents
They have,
kids?
yes. Yes, they call those private placements.
Yeah, I've heard, I heard about that.
Call them private placements. So there's kids that are sentenced there, and then there's rich parents who will get their kids sent there for like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year.
Yeah, crazy.
Or more. Yeah, crazy. And there would only be a couple of those because they would get ran out the program.
Yeah.
You're a private placement, you're getting mashed out. You know what I mean? Like you're a rich kid. Oh, we're smashed. Like, you understand? You're getting picked on every day, bro.
Wow.
So they shaved my head at an intake orientation unit, IOT. They were in units. And basically intake orientation, first day there, they shave your head. They give you a sweater. They throw your stuff at you. When I got there, our unit was running 3 miles. It was like a military. They kicked me out the van. Boom. Get the fuck up. Get in line. Run. Don't talk. Don't say nothing. Jump in my line. Jump in formation. I've been puffing Black and Milds like they were, like water, while I was doing my stuff. Smoking. So like, even though I had 6 months off of smoking from being in juvenile, I still didn't have the greatest lungs. You know, I wasn't in shape, So it's kind of hard for me. But these other kids are all yoked, in shape, and I see some kids are 18 years old. You know what I mean? There's some young men in line, everybody's big. And they just look like gladiators, man. And one dude looks back at me, where are you from? And I'm like, through my setup, the whole 9, boom. He's like, oh, okay. Didn't say a word, kept running. That night, we gotta be in our beds by like 7:30 or 8, you know what I'm saying? In your bunks. No talking, nothing. Lay down, go to bed. You got to be up the next day at 5 a.m. I hear footsteps. I look up from my bed. The dude that asked me where I was from and 2 of his homeboys are right there. And they represent what I said I represent from California, from real California. You know what I mean? And they're like, so what does that stand for? I had no idea what this stood for. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm from Vegas. I just joined a clique. You know, I didn't know. He's like, strike one. He's like, what is this? What is that? He wanted me to spit the lingo and show him that I was really from where I was from. I didn't have the answers. They hold me down, and he just lumped me out, boom, all over my body, up and down. I'm trying to scream. They got a pillow over my face, lumping me out. Boom, 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 boom. Smash me out. First night, I get maxed out. By the time I woke up, I just remember opening my eyes, lights on your doors. And I'm trying to get up, and I'm just so lumped. I'm so skinny that every time they hit me, I just felt it against my bones. And I can't stand up. And I'm all bruised up. Staff didn't care. Staff didn't say a word about it. They didn't send me to medical. They didn't ask nothing. They expected me to go to lunch and get back in line. You know what I mean? Like they did nothing. They didn't work, check on me, nothing. There's no cameras in the unit. You know, so that was my first taste. And basically they warned me. They were like, you are not from there. You're not from here. You're not from there. You do you, and we're not going to bother you no more. If this word or this gang or this comes out of your mouth, it's going to be way worse next time. Promise you. So think of this as your put off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're not from here, bro.
Yeah.
Straight up. And in there, it wasn't racial at all. It was pure gangland. And you could be any color. It didn't matter as long as you were really from where you were from. Now, in my head, it wasn't fair because I really did some dirt. I really had to fight 3 people to get on where I was from. I really did. I risked my life. I almost went to prison for the rest of my life doing what I was doing from my place. You know what I mean? And it wasn't necessarily for my place, but living that life. So I felt like I had earned my badges. But it was stupid thinking. Why not? You got a second chance at life. Why not just stop acting like a gang member altogether? You don't gotta be that. You got a second chance at life. How about taking this program seriously, doing the best you can, getting your diploma, and having a life? You don't got no felonies on your record. You know what I mean? So that woke me up, man. And that was when all the tough guy, gang banging stuff left my mind. And those staff, a couple days later, the first time I seen a staff hurt somebody, kids would come in and they'd be rowdy. You know, like I'm not jumping in line. I'm not doing push-ups. I'm not running. I'm not doing nothing. Do you know where I'm from? You know who I am? Staff would laugh. All the staff were like you, Herc. They were big boys. You and Ant, bro. Like they were there. They got hired for a reason.
Yeah,
They knew they were getting young men that were
Yeah.
from California. You know, these wild ass kids. So I said, okay, you don't got to run today. And they laughed and they smiled. And there's something called a headband. Okay. And all I heard was, don't get a headband. You're gonna get a headband. And I'm like, damn, what the hell is a headband? You know what I mean? Well, they snatched the kid out of his bunk at 2 a.m. What they do is they sit you on the ground. 2 staff pulls your feet out front. The other staff member grabs your hands behind your head, and they make your legs straight, and they put your forehead into the carpet, ground, cement, whatever, and they rub your head side to side. And by the time they're done, you have a scab across your head. Call it getting a headband.
Damn.
So you better behave, man. Now, if they didn't do that, I saw a kid get that a couple days after I got smashed out. If they didn't do that, there was a kid named Richard Hamilton, Golden Gloves, a GD from Minnesota. Gary, Indiana. This is when I learned about where Gary, Indiana was. You know what I mean? A lot of kids from Gary were in there, used to get down, used to get busy. And this dude was Golden Gloves. He looked like he was 25 years old. He was 18. He had been in the program for a while. But he would walk in, staff would send him into somebody's room. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, he light him up.
Light him up. Boom. See you later. Next time I'm going to get you again. You know what I mean? And people would come out swole up, messed up. Staff would whoop you. The kids would whoop you. Nobody cared. If you got injured, you're not calling your mom. Your mom is not your guardian. You are the guardian of the state. There's a 1-800 number over there when you get phone time. You know what I mean? It was a eye-opening experience. I learned to shut up, learn about my environment. Now, I will say this, after a year of being there, put some size on, was around a lot of real ones, and it turned me into a man. And I remember halfway through it, the dude that maxed me out was getting ready to go home. And funny thing, me and him become pretty close, like cool as hell. You know what I'm saying? And he had seen me get down a few times in the bathroom. I'll tell you, it changed me. You know what I'm saying? Fades were nothing now.
Yeah, that's YA.
Quick fade,
Yeah.
quick fade. It's over quick.
Yeah.
somebody told me, well, the first time I had to catch one, he was like, dude, it's like 30 seconds. Just run in there, throw the hands, and run out. Nobody will pick on you. And if they do, they'll know they have to catch a fade. So, boom, I run in there the first time. It wasn't that bad. A couple times a week after that. Boom, boom, boom. So, before this dude left, he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry about what happened when we first met. I think it's very possible that you really were what you said you were. But it was my job and my position to make sure that my people were all solid in this car. And I was like, I never heard the term car before. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really understand. Not from, you know what I mean, California, nothing like that. I didn't really get that. I've never been in prison. And I was like, no, man, I get it. He's like, but I could definitely see you got heart. I could definitely see how you could have definitely been from there. So my bad on that, you know what I mean? Stay up. And he got killed within 3 months of being released.
Damn.
Yeah, he got shot to death.
Wow.
Yeah, man. That was a wild ride being in that lockup facility, man. Constant violence. And the thing is, that's just the IoT unit. That's the worst of the worst, because that's when the kids first come in. They're like wild horses. They got to break you. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And then you end up getting up and going to different units, different halls, Unit Hall, Unity Hall, that stuff like that, Legend Hall. The one thing I liked about this place is we were a 3A school. We could compete in sports. If you behaved yourself, you could play basketball, football.
Oh, so they actually have sports teams.
Yes. And we were on an Indian reservation, but we could travel to like Yarrington, Nevada, and all these different places in Nevada and sometimes California for tournaments. And we could play basketball. And I was on the basketball team. I played varsity basketball up there. So that was pretty cool, man. But yeah, man, some real bad horror stories. And after we got done with that, man, that changed the hell out of me at that point.
How old were you when you got out of there?
18.
18. So
yep, solid 2 years.
So did you go back and live with your mom, or did you have a transition plan?
So the biggest thing that we do, because I help kids now, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but the biggest thing is not reintroducing the kid back to the environment, right? So they were like junior college in Idaho. I was going to play basketball, junior college in Idaho.
Wow, okay.
I wasn't good enough to make the team. They were my luck, they were the number 1 ranked junior college in the nation, College of Southern Idaho. And I just didn't make the team, you know. But we had a plan for me to still go to school. And just, you know, be in Idaho, Twin Falls, Idaho, where I told you my dad, who walked out on me as a young kid, he had another kid that lived out there. So I had a relative out there that I didn't really know too well, but they were willing to let me come over. And as a matter of fact, once the college didn't work, I actually had, technically, I applied for a hardship and had a year of high school. So I went out to Idaho and played a senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which it turned out really cool. So I went to school.
You got to be a kid.
Yes. I got 1 year of being a kid. You know, I wasn't allowed to get my license until the age of 21. But, you know, that's how we transitioned. We ended up not going right back to Vegas and then going to Idaho, you know.
That actually works out best, because then, like you say, you weren't going back to an old environment, but you got a new opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. And that was huge for me.